I'm
Oh,
here.
here you are. Took me a second to scroll and find you. Okay, so Sarah and I know that it's close night, and we were chit-chatting a little bit just via voice text because there's lots happening always on close night. I know we have things to do, but it's amazing how, have any of you ever had something so profound in your life happen in a very short amount of time, or hear just one thing or one phrase or just these tiny little things that cause so much change? And so that's really what we want to do. Is this is probably going to be the shortest call ever, but I don't want you to think, oh, short because we don't want to spend time together, or short because we're lazy, or we, whatever. It's called a lot can be done in a little. And the more we refine ourselves, the more we get, the better we get at our skills, the better we get at prospecting and sharing our story, our effectiveness increases, right? And so there's still the numbers game in our bond. There's still, you've got to be talking to enough people. But I would say that every MVP would agree that possibly, as our skills have sharpened, we could probably approach a lot less people to get a lot more people to join than having to go like this, simply because some skills have increased and also belief has increased. So a lot can be said in a little bit of time. And one thing I want you guys to think of too is I feel like a lot of times in a business like this, we are looking for some massive change, right? I mean, especially most of the time people really evaluate their business if it goes down. Like that's when we second guess ourselves. That's when we doubt ourselves. That's when we question ourselves. And that's when we're like, what do I need to do? And while that is a good thing to evaluate, I'm all about evaluation and honesty. I also think there's a couple things to remember. There's also just normal business things that happen. There is ups and downs of life. And I love the phrase, what God told you in the light, don't doubt in the dark. That was a tongue twister. And I think just the tiny little shifts. So I was going to just share 3 of my little itty bitty shifts that might sound super tiny. And then Sarah's going to share some things. And hopefully you'll just kind of be able to hear this and think, okay, what's a tiny little shift? Okay, so first tiny little shift that happened actually on my way to Nation. I did a coaching call with Carlita, and it was really good. We just talked probably for 30 minutes, and I said, I'm really ready to go Nation, Carlita. Okay, what can I do? And so we were just talking over business, and she gave me a lot of good insight, but there was one tiny little shift she gave me that changed my business dramatically. And basically what she said is, Emily, instead of just talking with one person, like coaching one person on your team, like let's say you're trying to teach them how to get activity or prospecting or getting started. Instead of doing it with just one person, why not set the time with the one person and then invite all the others? I know this sounds really tiny, and some of you are like, this is a shift. This was a huge shift because I was a very busy mama with 3 little babies. And the idea of growth, I think sometimes we think, expand our capacity for more. It means that we need to put 1 million more appointments and be a little more crazy. And actually expanding your capacity for more is really about getting better with what you have to get bigger. And so tiniest little thing made the world of difference, because what it did is it freed up so much of my time that I was like, oh, I can help 5 more people. I can help 10 more people. And so it kind of cleared up my clutter. So I want you guys to think right now, have you been, and it's good to spend individual time with people. So please don't take this as like, oh, well, from now on, I'm only going to do, one conversation with everybody on my team. That's not what I'm saying at all. But for specific things, huddle them together. So that's one tiny little shift. Second tiny little shift that I think was really important and powerful is, and I think Beth Gallardi alluded to this at the area retreat. And that is, instead of, I think it's so good to read a lot. I've been reading and listening to so many great books. And the more you are learning, the more you're earning. But I also think we can get, I'm going to use this phrase, mentally obese. By the way, I think somebody's unmuted. It sounds like you're like putting away dishes or something. The phrase mentally obese. Now I want you to just picture this. Somebody that continues to ingest information but not have any change happen. This happens all the time actually at Bible school. When I went to 1-year Bible school, our professors warned us and said, you're going to be reading a lot of good books and a lot of the Bible, but be careful, because when you start reading so much of it, often change doesn't set in because you're just trying to go like this. So I want to encourage you guys that instead of, I'm not saying don't read a book a week or a book a month or whatever you're working to do, but if you find yourself getting in this like autopilot motion where you're just in such a habit of just reading, instead take a moment, grab your book and say, okay, I'm going to read until something is like, whoa. And then I'm going to pause. I'm going to underline, highlight. If you look at my books, I never have, like my poor children, when they were really little, just ask my mom, they wrote in all of her Bibles on her coffee table and all of her books. And I'm telling you, it was because they watched their mama. They weren't naughty little babies. And because if you look at my book, it's just covered in notes. And because to be an active reader and learner, you read something. So let me give you an example. Okay, ready? The smallest good deed is better than the biggest intention. The smallest good deed is better than the biggest intention. That could be also the smallest action is better than the greatest intention with no action. So think about that. You could hear somebody be like, I'm going to go nation, but they have no activity. They're not asking, they're not sponsoring, they're not working. Versus somebody that's like, I don't know that I can do it, but I'm committed and I'm going to do what I'm going to do and I'm going to follow the plan. I'm going to work it. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm doing it. And you see them doing it. And all of a sudden that person gets to region a nation before this highly qualified person that you would have guessed would have hit it first just because of who they are. See, it matters more. So that one little phrase can stop you and make you go, huh? So then you stop there. Okay, last thing. And the only reason I'm going to share this, even though so many of you have heard this before, I'm going to share it because this was one of my biggest shifts that made the world of difference. And I was going to say, you've all heard this, be prepared a day ahead of time. That will revolutionize your world. I mean, it'll completely change your business because you won't ever be playing catch up. You'll be on top of your game all the time. And what it does is it doesn't take all chaos because life can be chaotic, and it doesn't take out hard work. That's the other thing, because it's still hard work at times. I mean, many nights the last week, I have been up much later because I'm doing a lot of things right now in life, preparing for homeschooling. I've had Arbonne events pretty much every night, preparing for all of my homeschooling stuff. I'm a volleyball coach. We have our first tournament all day tomorrow. So I've had a lot of preparation, and I've just stayed up about an hour later than everybody else, hustling. But you know what then it does? It makes my day go really well. So that's it. Those are my shifts. Sarah, I'm going to turn the baton to you, friend.
And that was probably me because I was shuffling papers and taking notes. So I think one of the big shifts that I'm making now, you guys, is have you ever thought to yourself, how in the world do you prospect when you just meet somebody? So that's one of the things that I'm learning now, and I think that I'm kind of learning how it goes now. So I'm just going to share it. It's nothing earth-shattering, but it's just it's working, you guys. So what Emily said, small things, and it's just like that in this business. Small things put together make really big things, and it's nothing profound because we all know that. Think of and Emily's talking about tiny shifts. This business is built on tiny shifts every single day. And so I have a Lego. Well, he actually He's 16, our second kid. And he took a picture of his Legos and he's like, Mom, this feels weird, because he put all his Legos away because we're moving next month and he's cleaning up his Legos. But I have a Lego kid. So a Lego is just a little teeny piece of plastic, but all put together. If you've ever been to Legoland or Disney and they have these massive Lego figures, that's a teeny little thing, but makes a big thing. Think of sand or rocks makes a mountain, or snowflakes make icebergs. And if you live in Buffalo or in a snowy area, you have lots of snow. So I was just thinking of the shift that I've been making recently is, how do you create conversations with people that you just meet? And so I'm just going to kind of walk you through some of the things that I do, and that's just good in life. And this does not have to pertain to your Arbonne business at all. It can be life too. Smile. I mean, it's nothing earth-shattering. Be friendly. Rita Davenport used to always say, everyone wears an invisible sign that says, make me feel important. So my kids had to have blood work today. And so we were at the phlebotomist. It's a fancy word. We were there this afternoon, and I was just making conversation with this person. She was a sweet lady, and sometimes they can be really cranky, but then I tell my kids if they're cranky, they have yucky things going on in their life, so we just have to give them grace. But this lady was super sweet and kind. 3 of my kids were and they've never had this done before, so Tess was in tears. Like, there was just, and there's 3 of us in this room, but she was so kind, and she was making everyone feel confident, and it was just really, really good. So I was just having conversation with her, and we had left. It's literally 2 minutes from our house, and on our drive home, they're like, do you know her, Mom? I'm like, no, but everyone wears a sign that says, make me feel important. And I thanked her, and I said, thank you for making this such a good experience for my kids. You guys, we can do that everywhere we are. And so the first thing of how do you just meet people in public is ask lots of questions. Ask lots of questions. First, you want to smile and be warm and be open to just conversation. Because I'll tell you, there are some times when I'm really closed off and I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. But you guys, you just won't talk to anybody, and they'll feel that energy from you, and they won't. So just be warm, be open, be genuine, and smile. That is huge. And there's so many people that just need someone to smile and pay attention to them. So ask questions. So here's some questions that I want to back up and tell you guys, I struggle with sometimes big groups and talking in front of lots of people, and struggle with insecurity, and struggle with, and I've been learning a lot I just posted on my Instagram story about that. Like, if we don't love ourselves, so my thing is love God, love yourself, and love others. And I just read in this one book, if we don't love ourselves, you guys, people will feel that. So we have to love ourselves first. And it's not selfish. I used to think that's selfish, but it's not. Love yourself first, so that you basically love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, and then love your neighbors as yourself. But yourself comes first. So that's a freebie. So ask questions. So here's some questions to ask. And if you want to write these down, how do you strike up conversation with a complete stranger? Here's some questions that I've just asked. Are you from here? Does your family live here too? So as you're asking questions, you guys, you're creating a conversation. Do you live around here? Is your family from here too? And then in the conversation, if they say they're not from here, then your next question could be, how did you end up over here? What do you do during the day? What are you going to school for? You just ask lots of questions, you guys. And then it's not your job to keep talking. It's your job to listen. And I actually our church had a listening for heaven's sakes course. And I think Val Mack taught it at one point at our church, because if you know Val, she's such a great listener. I've learned so much from her. But be an active listener, nod, smile, lean in a little bit. 80% of communication is nonverbal, you guys. That's why I love Zoom calls. That's why you can really connect with people over Zoom calls, because you get to be an active listener, and you get to show someone that you care about them. So literally in the last couple of weeks, you guys, I've met someone at a wedding that's a really good friend. I've met someone on an airplane coming back from Oklahoma City. I've met someone that whitewater was our whitewater rafting guide, and Carlita has met her before Abby, and then Brittany and Amy and Kara and Mariah. You guys all met her too. So I'll finish with that story. But so here's kind of a continuum. You smile, you ask questions, you create a conversation, which creates connection, and then that builds trust. So you smile, and you're open to you're opening to a friendship, open to a conversation. You ask questions, you create conversations, which creates connection, because it's no matter where you meet someone, you can meet someone online, you can meet someone on a river that's man-made in Oklahoma City. You want to build a connection, and then that builds trust, you guys. So, and here's the whole thing. Arbonne will come up organically if it's supposed to. In that initial conversation. Do not force it. If you force it, you'll look like a weirdo, and it'll feel funny and it'll feel weird. And so Arbonne does not have to come up right away. If it's supposed to, it will, in your conversation. And I met my last person that's doing the 30 days and signed up as a consultant. I met her at the ball field a couple of weeks ago. And we just clicked, and we had a conversation, and now I text. I mean, you just know the people. And then I literally booked a coffee appointment with her, just to keep talking and keep sharing and keep just getting to know her. It wasn't about Arbonne. And then literally, you guys, on my heart, I just messaged her and I said, honestly, I know you don't really know what Arbonne is, but you need to do this with me because you're amazing. And then she asked me, she's like, well, we're meeting on Tuesday. Can you bring me some information? So it will come up organically. So don't force it. So I'll finish with this story. So Abby, her name is Abby Swenson. She was our river guide. We whitewater rafted during the area VP retreat. And then we went with Philip and Carlita and my husband and our 4 kids too. And it was so much fun. And then randomly, which I do not believe in coincidences, God always aligns where people are supposed to be. Abby was our river guide the second time, you guys. And I messaged her and to see we said we're going at this time on Tuesday. Will you be there? And she was, and I asked if we could have her. So I kind of made that work, but it worked. So she was our river guide. She was super sweet and kind. We were so thankful to have her because we didn't want to get dumped over. We wanted to all stay in the raft, the girls that were with me, and we were like, we don't want to, and Brittany, we didn't want to get dumped over. So I knew that she would be kind to us. So we loved her right from the beginning. So we all just had a conversation in this raft. And we asked her where she's from. And she's from Utah. So my follow-up question was, and we were all taking turns asking questions. And she's like, we're like, how in the world did you get here from Utah? And you know what she said? And it's just all about listening. And she said, you know what? I Googled the cheapest places to live for summer jobs. And she said, Oklahoma City. So Brittany just put Team Brave. That was our team name, Be Brave, in our raft. And it automatically, we all sitting there were like, she is so stinking brave. I would never do that. So where did we just asked her, and then she's going to school, and she was a history teacher, or going to school to be a history teacher. So the people that you just like. So right when we got in that boat, I knew her name was Abby. So you got to remember their names too. So I said, how do you spell your name? Is it A-B-B-Y or A-B-B-I-E? Because I have a cousin named Abby, A-B-B-I-E. She's like, actually none of those, A-B-B-E-Y. So that's another tip, is figure out what their name is and remember it. So we just had so much fun in that rafting trip, and have a fun time, compliment them. We hugged after. I mean, you just build connection when you're open to it, and you just love people because that's what we're called to do. So here's a couple tips. I'm gonna give you a couple tips. Tip number 1 is remember their name, like I said, and ask them how to spell it. Talk about it. Remember what it is. Tip number 2 is get their contact info somehow. If you just need to get it, because they're not going to call you. If you really like somebody, and don't feel like you're using Arbonne, like using them to, that is not it. You guys, if your heart's in the right place, you'll never have to worry about that. So first tip, get their name. Second tip is, a lot of times I'll say now, are you on Instagram or Facebook? And that's a little less, I feel like, when you just meet somebody, so you're not so creepy. Figure out a way to connect with them after. So I knew she was on Instagram, and I knew it was Abbey. And then I said, well, what's your last name? And she told me her last name. So you kind of have to search and figure out where she is. So I found her. And then tip number 3, message them, connect with them somehow right away. So you guys, I messaged her on Facebook, and I pulled up our conversation. So right after, it was at 7:14 that day, and we had rafted at probably got done at 5-ish. So as soon as I found her, because we had to go to a meeting and stuff, I messaged her that day, and I said, you are so sweet and wonderful, Abby. Thank you for being the best guide we could have. You are brave, proud of you. #Team Brave. So she would remember who we were. And then she messaged me back the next day, and she said, Sarah, seriously, the cutest and the sweetest. Thank you so much. I seriously had a blast with you. It was so much fun. Da, 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 da. So guess what? I continued the conversation via Facebook Messenger. And then I asked her again, will you be guiding rafts again? And I told her that we're coming back on Tuesday. And then I sent her pictures of us, because we took pictures. And then I can message exactly how I turned it into Arbonne. And basically, and we had chatted a teeny bit the second time, and I said, I just asked her, have you heard of Arbonne? And she said no, and I just said to her a teeny bit. It's a health and wellness company. It's a business that I do, and that's all I said, you guys. And then I messaged her more, and I can share more of that later. But just be open to conversation. Just be open to people. Not every single person will do Arbonne in one way, shape. Not every single person's going to be on your Arbonne team or buy Arbonne from you. But I truly believe in my heart that every single person should hear about Arbonne and be involved in some way, the products or the business. And if you have that from your genuine, authentic heart, people need what Arbonne offers, you guys. And we need to get out there and share, and we need to be not afraid of sharing it. And I was afraid. I've been afraid for a long time, but we would be selfish if we wouldn't share it. So this wasn't the shortest call, Emily Martin, but I'm all done.
It wasn't our shortest call, but it was a good call. And that was so good, Sarah, because guys, as she was sharing things, she gave you lots of little practical things, but don't you see how each connection leads to another? So it's those tiny things that could seem insignificant, but are huge. So that's powerful. And even when she said, don't give them your number, get their number. Because I mean, most of us, if we've ever given our number to somebody, they don't contact us.
Right. Oh, and I should finish that story. So we've been messaging back and forth. She didn't message me for a couple of days. And then she said, I'm so sorry, I ran out of space on my phone. This was yesterday. I had to delete the Messenger app. I'm totally living a minimalistic lifestyle, so I'm just using my hotspot. I promise I wasn't friendship ghosting you. And then she said, I would love to try the products. So basically I have her, I sent her a video to watch, and then she's interested in nutrition. So I have her address, and I'm going to send her a goodie bag of lots of treats.
I love it. That's so good. So good. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. And this was fun. This was fun to see you, Sarah, and hear you. And guys, it's close night. So happy close night. We'll let you guys go put all your orders in, help your teams, and yay, raw. Bye, Sarah. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Good job, girls. Thank you.
Thanks, Carlita.
Thanks, Carlita.